Good morning, afternoon or evening, ladies and gentlemen, Allincrypto here, and welcome back, guys, for what is going to be nothing short of another jam-packed daily market update. And as always, we've got quite a lot to get through. We're going to be looking at some news or some rumors in regards to BlackRock filing for an XRP ETF. We're going to be highlighting the XRP chart once again. I know not everybody is a fan of XRP. However, I think its path is a chosen one. We'll talk a little bit about that. We're not going to spend all video on it, though, however. And then we're going to be looking at a number of other interesting things going on. VanEck have given their top 10 crypto predictions for 2025. And now is the time to start preparing for the year ahead of us. We will be doing a recap video on 2024 so far towards the end of the year, which we're very closely approaching. And then we'll do a prediction video of our own. But we'll look at VanEck's predictions. Also, Franklin Templeton talking about AI agents. Now, VanEck also highlighting this. We've seen certain cryptos move. We've seen AI cryptos lag somewhat and deep in cryptos lag somewhat. But this is, I think, a massive, massive opportunity in the crypto space that we don't want any of you to miss out on. We're also going to talk about how in the US, an early Bitcoiner, or Bitcoin investor has now been jailed for tax evasion in a landmark case. And I just want to talk to you guys a little bit about the fact that if you live in a country where they tax crypto, you are going to have to try and pay it. There's nothing wrong with going to a registered tax advisor, which we're not, or an accountant, and trying to minimize your tax. But in terms of actually evasion, you know, they're going to throw... and they will look to make examples of people. I do think that also. So I do want people to be very careful and be thoughtful at this point, certainly as we're in a bull market. I know it's boring, I know it's doom and gloom, but I truly care about you guys on the other end of the camera, and I don't want anybody getting a jail sentence or something like that on the back end of, trying to be smart. It's not worth it. Time is the most valuable thing of all. And the options to not pay tax are you move out of whatever country you're in. I've got a lot of friends that are in Dubai. I've got some people that have just settled in Georgia. I've got people in Panama, Gibraltar, Malta. There are places out there that are a lot more friendly to tax than somewhere like I am in the UK. And I think they're only going to get worse, the West, to be honest. America seems to be on an interesting path in regards to Trump and what he proposed. I want to start things off with a bit of a joke. So I read all your comments, guys. Do watch out for the spam. We do try. There are scam comments. We do try and clean them up as often as possible, but we can't spend all day doing that. That's where you guys are going to come in and help me if you can. If you see a scam comment, highlight it in terms of maybe a comment or something like that, or a comment of your own letting people know that there's some sort of scamming going on. But we do try and combat it. But we do read all your comments. And I've got to say, you guys make me laugh every single day. And yesterday there was a comment. You'll notice I'm in an unfamiliar setting. I'm currently away seeing some family. That read, "Are you recording in the Bulgarian Prime Minister's house?" Now, I found that hilarious. I wanted to share that with you. Keep your comments coming, guys. I do get a lot of joy out of those. Let's kick the video off and let's start things off with some rumors from Lark Davis. He didn't get a lot of great response on this tweet. I think he's probably someone, from what I can gauge, that hasn't been too positive on XRP. And now the interesting thing is people are going to have to come full circle because of what it's done and what it's going to do. XRP is what, the third largest, or it might even be third or fourth largest crypto, obviously including Tether. It's obviously the third excluding Tether. I actually think it could flip Ethereum this cycle. Sounds crazy, but I think what they're doing is probably one of the largest use cases for DLTs, at least initially. But Lark Davis reports, rumors are circulating that BlackRock is planning to file an XRP ETF application. This would be huge. Interestingly, this might be the fundamental news that sees the bull flag that we are looking at play out. So I think you've got a bull flag here, which is a continuation structure that is likely going to see it go to 5, then potentially towards that $10 range. It's only at 2 now, so it's not too far out into the realms of possibility. And then goes on to say, if that happens, it will bring a SHIT ton of liquidity to the crypto markets. Go figure. Interesting comments under this. There's no source linked, which I found interesting. However, I do think this is an inevitability, and I do think the we looked at an interesting take from Eric Balanchunas yesterday that spoke about how BlackRock's really focusing on Bitcoin and ETH for now. But they will, due to the fees that they can collect, allow and facilitate most crypto ETFs, basket ETFs, all of this stuff. And that's a very exciting sort of prospect for us as investors, is that we are front-running those institutions or the masses in regards to this market actually being monetized by sort of Wall Street and BlackRock and all these hedge funds. So are we going to get an XRP ETF? I absolutely 100% think so. It makes logical sense. XRP is, depending on what survey you look at, the third most held cryptocurrency by institutions already. I'm going to throw up CoinShares, actually. I wasn't going to throw up CoinShares, but I am because I think CoinShares' digital report last week really highlights something very interesting in regards to XRP, and that is the sort of flows that we saw. We had the largest week of inflows on record last week, and actually, look at the inflows on XRP. It was over a tenth of Ethereum's, nearly an eighth of Ethereum's overall flows, and there's no ETF for this. So there's clearly institutional demand. I don't know where he's getting this sort of rumor from, but I think it is an inevitability. I don't think it's too much of a stone's throw, and I think you're seeing a lot of people who perhaps weren't amazingly positive towards XRP now shifting due to the kind of undeniable nature of the price action that we've seen, the role that it's going to play in the price action that we're going to continue to see. It's a very obvious pattern that we've been highlighting. We are looking at that small continuation. Is some sort of fundamental news like that going to set it up and see that continuation? We've got a lot of stick on looking at this bull flag. People saying a number of things, but people can say whatever they want on the internet. We've been right on it so far. We think we're going to continue to be so. So to shut up about XRP, because I know not everyone's an XRP fan, I do think, in my opinion, I hold it. It is becoming one of my largest positions because of how well it's done. We also hold XLM, which I think might even offer a greater ROI. And there's no doubt that these technologies, in my opinion, are going to play certainly XRP and XLM, given their history, that we seem to get kind of, the videos don't do as well when we talk about some of the links early on that XRP had, and certainly Ripple as a company, with some interesting characters. But we'll move on from that. Let's shut up about XRP now. Very interesting. I do think you're going to get a BlackRock ETF, and I do think potentially that could be the fundamental news that we're looking at. Technically, let's talk about VanEck's 10 crypto predictions for 2025. So the first one is crypto bull market hits a medium-term peak in Q1, which is obviously 2025 because this is looking at 2025, and it sets a new high in Q4. So that would be very similar to perhaps what we have just lived through. This pulled back in March, January, February, March, which is Q1, and then put in a new high in Q4, October, November, December. Yeah, so Q4. So they're essentially expecting sort of a bit of a seasonality to markets. It is something we will look at. So what they're expecting from now until sort of Q1 next year is a run, and then continuation of that run into the back end of the year. That would align with, we think ultimately this market's likely, the best thing I can give is that this market's going to run into the back end of 2025. And actually, there is calls for potentially a extended cycle with the likes of Bitcoin dominance potentially coming down to 20-something%. And I think that's going to happen on the back end of the maturing of space, cramming quite a lot of data into one thing. But I don't think that's too far out the realms of possibility. US embraces Bitcoin with strategic reserve and increases crypto adoption, very much signaled. Then Bitcoin becomes a matter of national security. Our leveraged Bitcoin players, miners, MicroStrategy just ended up in the NASDAQ 100. Big ramifications for that in regards to fund flows. It's kind of like being a Mag 7. Very interesting. And I'm not the biggest fan of Michael Saylor, but what I can do is tell you that man has got that very, very right and has done exceptionally well off the back end of it, and you've got to give him credit for that. They talk about value of tokenized security exceeds 50 billion. I think that's very conservative. Stablecoin daily settlement volume reaches 300 billion in stablecoin settlement volume per day. So that means stablecoins in 10 days are doing 3 trillion. In 300 days are doing 300 trillion, if that's their sort of estimate. And you've got, again, going back to XRP with their RL and all this other things. And actually, we did something very interesting we've not seen anybody do, which is we spoke about how if we believe tether dominance with a market cap of 140 billion is coming down to 1.3%, that now means you're looking at a $14 trillion market cap. But we won't sort of go too far down that rabbit hole. It's quite complex sort of theory that we're putting forward. They say AI agents on-chain surpass 1 million agents. Actively, on-chain activity surpasses 1 million agents. AI agents are going to fundamentally change a lot of things. This is from Franklin Templeton the other day. We've got a number of AI plays in the Patreon. We've got one that we think is going to be close to 100x, even from where the prices are today. Opportunities are everywhere in this market. There's certainly some smaller plays that I think are going to do very well. Get on that train, guys. You can, just like I have, change your life during this crypto market, and it might take place within the space of a year if you're positioned in the right things at the right time. And now is the right time to start getting positioned. Bitcoin Layer 2s reach 100,000 BTC in total value locked. Yeah, I mean, BlackRock has, not BlackRock. I mean, BlackRock has more than that themselves, but US ETFs have, I think it's 1.3 million Bitcoin at this point. So it's not massive. I don't know if they took the right path with, I got some stick for saying I actually like Roger Ver the other day. If you think Roger Ver, and please leave your reasonings for why you're not a fan of Roger Ver. I think they're quite easy to combat. But then again, understand that that's my opinion. You have yours. I think social media has a lot to play. Gone from being able to disagree with one another to, if you disagree with me, we're enemies. You know, that's. I mean, I don't know where you go with that. You know, that's very dangerous for a civilization. But yeah, layer 2s, I'm not sure they went the right direction there. But an interesting prediction all the same. Ethereum blob space generates 1 billion in fees. I kind of feel like if you're a Polkadot fan, you're kind of triggered by that. Blob space, block space, you know, and what's going on, and people that understand what Polkadot's going through and what Ethereum are trying to do will, you know, get that reference. DeFi hits all-time high with 4 trillion DEX volume and 200 billion TVL. Wow. Interesting. Very interesting, actually, because we gave a number of DEXs that had falling wedges, and I'm not the most bullish person on. I mean, look at these for successful falling wedges. Come on. We need to recap on that video where we gave all those predictions. Because we were so right on them. So there is something going on with DEXs more broadly, actually, when we look at this from a kind of phase analysis point of view, which is how we look at the markets on a macro time frame to try and dictate, you know, what phase of a market we're in, and then we can work out what's coming ahead of us. These are all phase 1 basing, breaking into phase 2. So yeah, I could see it. NFT market recovers with a trading volume reaching 30 billion. That's interesting. I'm tempted to buy some NFTs. I'm just scarred from the last cycle. DApp tokens narrow the performance gap with layer 1 tokens. Maybe. We'll see. Certainly some of the crappier layer ones I can see. But this is very, very interesting. They're talking about Bitcoin going to around 180,000. We think it's going significantly higher, but there's going to be a journey to actually get it there. It's going to be interesting to see how Bitcoin dominance plays into all this. Franklin Templeton is talking about AI agents. And the last thing I want to sort of wrap up with is Bitcoin investor jail for tax evasion in landmark case. Frank Richards, Al Gren, the third. Are we being trolled here? An early Bitcoin investor from Austin, Texas, has been sentenced to 2 years in prison for tax evasion. He's falsified his tax returns to underreport gains from selling 3.7 million worth of Bitcoin, making the first criminal tax evasion case in US solely focused on cryptocurrencies. And it looks like he's getting 2 years in prison. And there was this guy is apparently a tax analyst. Just be careful, anyone can say they're anyone on Twitter. I'm not discrediting this guy at all, but I'm just saying. I think you can hide from crypto gains from the IRS. A Bitcoin investor just got sentenced to 2 years in prison for falsely reporting. Here's what happened and what you need to know to stay out of trouble. A Bitcoin investor in Austin, basically he underdeclared things. Just the reason I'm highlighting this is really because I don't want anybody getting caught out on this. If you live in a country where they've put taxes on there, and you try to, or if you falsify it and they catch you out, they might not, but if they do, They will throw the book at you. And in the UK, people get longer sentences for things like tax evasion and things like that than they do horrific crimes that I won't even mention on this platform, which is wrong, I personally think. But at the same time, what I'm highlighting there is certainly as we're going to this bull market, it's boring, it's doom and gloom, you're being a bit of a downer all in crypto. But no, really what I'm trying to say here is that just be mindful, guys. Make sure you're sort of keeping track of things and you've got some sort of accounting going on that you can. And we're not a tax advisor. We can't give any tax advice, and we don't. But just be mindful moving forwards. And certainly selling your crypto is a taxable event. Bear that in mind. Because as this industry grows and grows, and as people make more and more money, you then become more and more of a target. So that's it from me, ladies and gentlemen. If you want to avoid that, move countries. Although that didn't seem to work for Roger Ver. That's it from me, ladies and gentlemen. The stage is very much set. Are we going to get an XRP ETF? I think it's quite likely. Interesting predictions from VanEck. AI agents are something to watch, and AI cryptocurrencies. The price very much just moving in the direction we want. And all is good, really, in the hood. So that's it from me, guys. Keep them comments coming. I'm going to love and leave you on that note. Thanks for watching. Have a smashing Sunday. See you soon.